Okay, wait. Before you say this is not a Twisted Fate video, I wanted to update you on the tier list that I made yesterday. I forgot to put Jinx and Ashe in. I was doing it at work. I was silly and forgot to put Jinx and Ashe in. Ashe is A tier, Jinx is S tier in my opinion, especially for like all range elos. I tried to balance my tier lists for around the Emerald elo level, and Jinx is a really good carry in like Platinum to Emerald level elos, because if they can't deal with you, you just take over the game really quickly, and she's a really good individual pick to have an individual influence. Anyway, that's the tier list. That's what it's supposed to have looked like in yesterday's video. I'm now going to get into the Twisted Fate video. Yo guys, what's going on? Welcome back to the channel. It is my birthday today. I'm 30. Bloody hell, guys. I'm 30 years old. I'm an old man now. However, I am going to be doing my Twisted Fate video today. I did tell you that I had one on the way. Played a Twisted Fate game in Master Tier. I'm not a mid lane main, but Twisted Fate is usually the pick that I will go for. The reason that I like Twisted Fate, by the way, is because he's got a lot of kind of like global presence. You don't have to be the most mechanically insane player to get Twisted Fate to win games. He's all about what can you do on the map. Like, are you watching the map? Are you understanding what's going on? And that's generally where my strength is compared to being a purely mechanical player. So that's why I really like Twisted Fate, because his ultimate is like a really good way of just influencing the side lanes wherever possible. Now, of course, before we get into this, thanks to G2A for sponsoring the channel. There is a reference link in the description below. And if you're wondering who that picture is, that's me as a baby with my dad. I use that to cover the webcam screen when I am doing a voiceover, because I kind of listened through the audio on this game and I was like, it's not that interesting, so I'm going to do a voiceover instead. So in general, with Twisted Fate, one of his weaknesses can be, especially versus people like Corki, it's very hard to outpush them, and red card can be very expensive to spam. You do want to try and red card as much as possible, not only to get a bit of the AoE damage off, because obviously red card got buffed in the last couple of patches, but also because you don't want to get pushed in consistently by Corki. You want to kind of keep that wave as level as possible. And a little tip when laning versus Corki, he will always try to land Phosphorus Bomb, which is that ability there, on both the minions and you at the same time. So if you're just trying to keep yourself away from the minions, he can't Phosphorus Bomb the minions and you. So just be sure that when you're laning versus Corki, especially as a ranged matchup, you don't walk up to the minions, because it makes it very easy for Corki to land multiple forms of damage. Like right there, I walk away from the minions because I know that he wants to use that on the minions as soon as possible. And then obviously I'm trying to farm from range for the most part. It's very difficult. Like right there, I walked into it. It's very difficult to kind of like beat Corki in the 1v1, mainly because he has got really, really strong wave clear and has got a lot of strong burst damage, and Twisted Fate in the laning phase does not have that same kind of impact. Now, in terms of itemization, the standard build would be something like Rod of Ages into Lichbane, but in this game, I burnt Flash on the Gragas, by the way, which I think was worth. On this game, I decided to go for full burst. There was no real point in me being tankier with the Rod of Ages build, even though it does give you quite a lot of AP down the line, because there are so many high-value targets like Teemo, Master Yi, and Kai'Sa. If they kill me, they're not killing one of the others. So I'd rather just go for maximum glass cannon damage in this game, mainly because if I get focused, it's fine, you know, and if they're focusing me, Rod of Ages probably isn't going to save the day, and if they're focusing me, they're not focusing Master Yi, and they're not focusing Teemo, and they're not focusing Kai'Sa. So I'm perfectly okay with that. So I'm rushing Lichbane first for like pure burst damage using my spells, trying to get that single target focus damage out as well. I'm warding up towards the dragon because the obvious route that the Gragas would come into this lane would be through that dragon pit and then obviously, you know, rotate for that infernal dragon take. So that's why I am kind of like hovering and keeping that ward there on the top side. I shouldn't be getting too close to this brush on the lower side of my lane, because if Gragas is there, I haven't got it warded, and it would be a very easy, you know, opportunity for him to just body slam over and use his ultimate and kill me. Which obviously, as a Twisted Fate, you're very, very vulnerable to. Now, I kind of wasted my first. I could wait for boots here. Really, probably should have waited for boots here, but I thought that any second that I didn't get towards Infernal Dragon is a second that they have to take Infernal Dragon, and unfortunately, our entire team backed at probably one of the worst times possible, and no one got in range for Infernal Dragon, which means the enemy team basically is just there already. They had the Malphite ready to go with the ultimate. There's just no point being anywhere near that Infernal Dragon right now, because at the end of the day, they've already taken it. As you can see here, Kai'Sa's already peeling back, Master Yi's already peeling back, and so we just kind of walk out through our own jungle, and we get away with it. But we just backed at the worst times. Even I backed it at not a particularly good time. I think I could have got there, but obviously no one was there to stop them and no one there was to delay the dragon, so they just got a free Infernal Drake, which is not something that you see happen on a regular basis in high elo. But that's okay. Infernal Dragon, I want to prove to you that Infernal Dragon is not the be-all and end-all of this game. So right here, I was communicating with because I have my ultimate back up again. My first ultimate was not very successful. I thought that the Master Yi was in trouble in the jungle, so that's why I kind of I used the ultimate to get there and support the Master Yi. The second ultimate needs to be impactful, though. You need to be aware that when you use a Twisted Fate ultimate, it's a really powerful global ganking tool that can help accelerate lanes. Like, it helps, force lanes. And I was asking my top lane, my bot lane, the ones with the Kai'Sa in. I was asking them on voice, because I was voiced with the Kai'Sa, can I dive top with you? Is there a way that we can dive top and make this happen? And Corki had just backed. I just pushed the lane in. I had a look over and saw some low HP bars, and I thought, this is the time for me to go. So I lock the gold card before I get there, and I have the gold card ready to go as soon as I'm in, and there we go. That's a little tip for you, by the way, with Twisted Fate. If you're looking to use your ultimate, lock your card before you get there, and you just teleport in with the gold card ready to go. And as you see, we get a top lane tower dive. Yeah, we lose the Rift Herald, but we get the first tower of the game, which is a good outcome for Rift Herald anyway. And then we essentially set ourselves up, for a good spot where our bot lane can rotate out, and now we can start to, put pressure on other lanes. But that's a really nice tip with Twisted Fate. Make sure you use your card before your ultimate in most circumstances, because it guarantees that you have the right card for the right situation. You don't have to concentrate in the middle of the fight locking the card, because if you teleport into the middle of a fight, and you have all that chaos going on, it can be a little bit more difficult to actually lock the right cards. If you do it in the calm moment before you teleport into the fight, then you have that right card ready to go. So at this stage, again, it's just, I want to box Corki in this lane. Like, I want to stop Corki from roaming, and now that I've got the AP, I actually push much more quickly than he does. I did think that he was very likely hovering around that top side with the Gragas, which is why I went toward this bush. And again, I'm just playing as safe as I physically can here. Twisted Fate, he's very vulnerable when he gets displaced or when he gets a CC applied to him, so that's why I'm just playing as safe as possible. But you can see now I'm in a spot where I'm pushing harder than Corki, because I have the AP to support my red card. And yes, you can see I'm incredibly squishy. That is what it is. But I'm just pushing this Corki in, and all of those resources that we put into our Kai'Sa, they have come back and paid dividends, because now Kai'Sa and the Alistair are super strong, and they are in a position where they can start to snowball their lane. My Teemo's not having the best game, but that's okay. So again, remember, got to be a little careful. Wait, actually, Teemo just he got a gank from Master Yi. Again, got to be a little careful because of this build. I'm not running Rod of Ages, so I don't have the flat health. I'm going Lichbane into Rabadon's Death Cap, by the way. It's just like pure burst damage. I would not recommend this for most Twisted Fate builds. I would say that Rod of Ages into Lichbane into Rabadon's Death Cap would be a better choice. But because, as I said, this game, I'm concerned with maximum burst damage as quickly as possible. This is kind of the build that I've chosen to go for. So again, you see another kind of engage happening here. Now, Alistair went a little bit too aggressive, but that's okay. He's Alistair. He can kind of tank a load of damage before getting taken low. And we obviously have this next dragon spawning. Now, the reason I'm backing here is because I have my ultimate, and I have another needlessly large rod, or if you watch the Chinese patch notes review, useless stick. I've got another rod ready to go, which gives me a load more burst damage, and also I have my ultimate. So my ultimate's obviously going to give me, a lot of extra getting across the map potential when it comes to dealing with this dragon. Now, we have to be a little careful here. The Malphite has ultimate, the Gragas is ultimate, and Malphite does ult in at the very last second with no HP. This is the problem with support Malphite, by the way. You're usually never tanky enough to, or have enough AP to make your ultimate that useful. I decided to go for a very aggressive Twisted Fate ultimate here. This was mainly to cut off the escape, which, as you can see, I kind of did, and then picked up a kill on the Gragas after the tower dive. That was mainly to cut off the escape. And because I didn't want them to be able to retreat easily through their red side and jungle, which is why I did that and why I teleported behind their tower to make it easier for my team to go for the tower dive. Now, there is a Camille here. I thought maybe I would have enough. I thought I could flash on to those. I think I was a little unlucky there. I thought if I flashed onto those honey fruit, I'd survive. But you know, we went 1 for 1 at the end of the day, and I get the assist. I'm perfectly happy with the outcome of that Camille dive because it really didn't mean much. And Teemo's now going to just push in this lane anyway. We defend the tier 1 mid, which is great. And I'm now, I think I have my Rabadon's death cap, which is, you know, obviously a really big spike in terms of damage output. Like, I am slapping people. I obviously want to go for the stasis enchant as well, which I've got. I might not have the Rabadons, actually. I might just have stasis. But the stasis enchant is important because that's now going to give me a little bit of survivability in team fights. Now, unfortunately, team kind of hard committed here. Luckily, I have that gold card and I have a lot of damage at this point in time. So we can, with the Alistair, with the CC, we should be in a position where we're able to just constantly lock people down. I'm just spamming those gold cards out, ensuring that I'm setting up my Kai'Sa. And as you can see, Kai'Sa gets a quadra kill. Or it nearly gets a quadra kill at the end of the day. Yeah, it gets a quadra kill. So, boom. Just facilitating. And obviously after Rabadon's death cap, I want to have that extra range. Because versus this team comp, there's a lot of like heavy hitting range champions. And I want to have that rapid fire cannon for the extra range, which is why I'm doing what I'm doing. Blue card is technically the most damage, by the way. Which is why I'm just using that just to set up and get the mana back on the tower. Gives me a load of damage with Lich Bane. As you can see, we take towers super quickly, and now also can end up taking the dragon off the back of that team fight as well. So we're now in a strong position. Now we do have to be constantly worried about that side lane split push threat of the Camille. But this is the problem with, again, this is why I rate Malphite as a support so low. He just dies. Like, he's not tanky enough because he doesn't have the gold, and he doesn't deal enough damage because he doesn't have the gold. And so really you just have your ultimate, and that's a setting up ultimate to help support, you know, help to support other people on the team. And if no one else in your team can capitalize on that ultimate, or no one else in your team is strong enough, then Malphite support feels a bit weak. So obviously now we're looking for a Baron or more towers or just, you know, any kind of objective on the map. Like, we have a really strong Kai'Sa who does try to go 1v1 versus the Corki, kind of miss. I would say, I don't know why I use my stasis here, but I do flash out the way, which is fine. It saved me. I'm going to say that it was fine. I think if I hadn't used my stasis, they might have engaged on me, and then obviously Camille might have locked me down with the ultimate. I just used it to buy myself some time to think and find a good flash angle, which is what I did, and was able to come back in here. Unfortunately, Kai'Sa, Joey, just underestimated how much damage Corki does. Corki's still a super strong pick right now. So now we kind of have to wait for Kai'Sa to reset before we can do anything crazy on the map. As soon as Kai'Sa's up, though, I think Baron is going to be the port of call. We're really strong, and even if we don't do Baron, we want to force the fight. Even if we don't do Baron, we want to force the enemy to come to us and actually fight us at that area, because that is where we can, again, make an engage happen that's going to be in our favor. We don't have a particularly strong teamfight comp, if I'm honest with you. In fact, sorry, tired. In fact, I actually think our teamfight comp kind of sucks compared to theirs. However, at the end of the day, we're still super strong individually. Now, Corki tried to make an engage happen, which didn't quite work out. Again, we saw the Malphite over the wall. I died, but I popped my ultimate. Why did I pop my ultimate? Because they have a Vayne. And that keeps Vayne visible, even when she's trying to use her ultimate and her tumble, which allows the Master Yi to get quite a lot of damage down. So I pop my ultimate because it makes Vayne more vulnerable in team fights. And that's good versus any kind of pick that relies on being invisible to work. And that can, you know, be Akali, Evelynn, Vayne, all of these champions, Twisted Fate. If you pop your ultimate in team fights, they can't use their shroud, they can't use their invisibility, they can't use the Vayne tumble to go invisible either. So Twisted Fate's a really good answer into things like Vayne, not only for the single target lockdown, but also because he reveals her invisibility during her ultimate, which makes her much easier to focus and much easier to kill in team fights. Another little tip for you. That's why I used my ultimate before I knew I was dead, because it just meant that my team fight or my team were much more likely and much more able to take Vayne out in the middle of that team fight. Now, Corki just massively overextends here, dies with the gold card, as you can see. They try to go for the engage, and obviously we take down Teemo pretty low, but Vayne massively overextends, and I managed to buy some time, and then essentially gold card, or essentially just slap her straight away with Master Yi. I bait her in by flashing away and then using my stasis, and that now gives us enough pressure to push down mid, maybe go for the mid lane tier 2. There are pings to go for Baron. I'm pretty confident that I can get this tower at the same time because I'm Twisted Fate. Alas, don't have the minion wave though, so that's why I end up backing off and going towards the Baron. I think though I've done enough damage to allow our minions to take it anyway, which should mean that we get the tower and the Baron at the end of this anyway. Although I say that, Gragas turns up and clears the wave, which is a bit of a sag. But nonetheless, it'll go down in due course as well. Oh no, it did go down. Well, I'm a genius. Never mind. Never mind. Retrospective genius. We end up getting the tower anyway. Now, take Baron. This is now a good opportunity to kind of like force the issue, like run down with these minion waves. But also, there's another dragon spot. Oh my god, I'm so tired today. Sorry. I actually had a really good night's sleep last night. I went to bed at like 10:30 p.m. Just because this video was filmed at like 2 a.m. So there was like a night I stayed up really late, and because of Rupert waking up at like 7 a.m. every morning, sometimes earlier, you know, if you're going into bed at 2 a.m., you're not getting much sleep. I wouldn't say there's like anything like 5 head going on here. We're just super strong with Baron, and obviously that just allows us to go for the dragons. This dragon really doesn't mean a huge amount. They stole the Cloud Dragon, fair enough, but it's just the Cloud Dragon at the end of the day. Again, use my ultimate. You can see that Vayne's not going invisible, so she's easily targeted. That allows Master Yi to jump on her, and then we end up getting the kill. Just another little, again, really, really nice thing off the back of the team fights. You're also seeing how unbelievably dumb Master Yi is, by the way. Master Yi on this patch is a viable jungle pick, and he's ridiculously strong. He has still got a weak early game, but once you get 2 items, it used to be like you needed 3 or 4 items to make Master Yi good, but now once you've got 2 items, he's just ludicrous. And that is now the end of the game. Boom! Twisted Fate video, influenced the map, gold cards galore, easy. But again, in terms of build path, I'd recommend that you do something slightly different. Yeah.